everyone, and welcome back to Bikini Design Club YouTube channel. If you are looking for the tutorial on how to sew the reversible bikini pattern top winter, this is it. If you haven't seen the intro video, we suggest you watch it first before you sew this bikini top. You also have the swimsuit as we have explained before, but now let's dig into sewing winter. So today we will start by explaining what we need to sew a bikini pattern top winter. So to cut my fabrics, I will use my roller cutter, which is a 5 cm blade, and I really love cutting my fabrics with this because it's very sharp and it's a perfect cut. I also have a small scissor to snip some threads that we may need, so I also have a small scissor. I have rubber elastic, which I always use to sew my swimwear, which this one particularly has 0.8 centimeters, and I apply elastic all around the edges, where of course I will let you know where, but I always apply rubber elastic. I also have a loop turner because this pattern will require a small thin strap, and we will use the loop turner to reverse the strap to the right side. And finally, of course, I have here my pattern. Of course, yours will have all the specifications written. This is just a test paper, so never mind that it doesn't say exactly what it is. And then I also use, if I need to do some stitches that are visible, in this case this is a reversible, as you know. If you haven't seen the intro video on winter, I will pop up a card so you can follow that video and watch that video before you sew winter. So to secure the clasp on the back, I will be using these polyester threads. I really love this one. This is from 𝗪𝗏, and it's 𝗪𝗏, and it has a little bit of shine. I really love this threads, and I will be using it today to secure my clasp. And then of course the seam ripper, because sometimes we do mistakes, some clips, of course some pins, and finally I'm gonna show you my clasp and my threads for the overlock. So this is the threads that will be sewing on my overlock, also red. I will be doing my winter top with red and pink fabrics, and I think I will apply the elastic in a way that you will see it once it's on my main side. You should always decide which is your main side and your second side, and if you apply the elastic on your main sides, this will mean that the second side color you will not see it, but when you reverse the bikini to the other side, you will see the first color of the main fabric a little bit sticking out. But since I will be using a clasp to close the back here, since I will be using the clasp, it will not be reversible because of the finish to secure the clasp. So since it's not reversible, I will choose one of the sides as my main fabric. I will tell you which color, and so I will decide also if I want to apply the elastic on the main fabric. That's the usual procedure, or this time if I want to do it differently, because that's the thing I'm thinking about. I'm still thinking about. So I'm gonna use this clasp here for the back. And regarding supplies, that's it. We can now start by cutting our fabrics using our patterns. I always, you will have a stretch, a grain line on your pattern, so cut your fabrics according to the grain line. The fabrics should be stretchable on both directions. However, there's one direction which the stretch is greater, and that greater stretch should be always horizontally regarding your body. So this means that, for instance, this one, the horizontal greater stretch is this direction. For instance, I will cut my back with the grain line perpendicular to the greater stretch, and that's how I'm gonna cut all my fabrics. I almost forgot to tell you that I also use Microtex or ballpoint needles on my machine. overlock and also the straight stitch to do the zigzag and secure this in the end. But you can also use stretch needles. It's important to use the correct needles. If you don't have these needles, probably you will have problems sewing these fabrics and including the rubber elastic. To cut the fabrics, you have to take into consideration the grain line from mentioned on the pattern, the fold lines also, in this case for the front, and of course you always need to see that the greater stretch of your fabric is placed opposite to your grain line. This means horizontally on your body. Your main stretch is horizontal to your body. I always fold my fabrics when I'm cutting because I like to cut the two pieces that I need to cut all at once. And for the front, I do a fold on the center front for this top and I cut it also. I also cut the two straps, small straps with 3 centimeters high that are mentioned on the pattern. And we are now ready to start sewing our bikini pattern top winter. Now I've decided my main fabric will be my pink and my second fabric will be my red. What I will do, since this is a reversible and reversibles always tend to have excess fabric, a trick that I want you all to do in this case for this pattern is the same that I'm going to do now. So what I will do is remove the seam allowance from my second fabric, this one and this one for the back. So for the back, I don't remove the total of the seam allowance, I take half of the seam allowance. So I will take something more or less like this and the same here from the second fabric on my back. Then on my front, I will do the same on the top here and also under the bust. And for my strap, I will do the same on this edge and here. And by doing so, you will see that once it's reversed to the right side, your second fabric will not be too much, it will be perfect. I mean, at least if you use a 0.8 elastic, just like I'm doing, and you will see what I mean by this when you finish your bikini top. So as I've decided that my main fabric is the pink, I'm gonna remove the seam allowances, half of the seam allowances from my red front, from my red backs, but on the straps I want the red to be my main. So what I will do, since I want my red to be the main one on the straps, I will remove the half of the seam allowance from the pink. It's an option. I want to combine the two colors visible. That's why I'm gonna do it, mixing the red with the pink. So to do so, I usually do it just by looking at the pattern. But if you want, if it's easier for you, you can print 2 of them, remove the seam allowance by cutting it, and when you cut the second fabric, you already cut it smaller. Since I don't do that, I don't print this twice, I usually do this just by looking with my roller and I go ahead and cut. So to start, we will sew the darts. I have many videos where I show you how to sew the darts. However, today I'm also going to show you in detail how you should do this. Of course, repeat the process for the lining, for your second fabric, and for your first one. So first you have to check which is the main side of your fabric. You will see that on one of them you have like a sheer plastic look. That's the inside. So my inside is this one. So I want to place down on my table. The inside, the reverse side of my fabric is facing down. And what I do is I fold my my fabric on the dart line. I pin the edge of the dart here in the middle and sometimes also here. And I do exactly the same here. And now using my straight stitch machine and my polyester thread and also my stretch needle or ball point or microtex, I will do a stitch on my seam allowance from the outside of the dart, just following the seam allowance, continuing until you reach the fold of the fabric. Once you reach the fold of the fabric, very near the edge, you continue 3 more stitches or 4, and you leave the tail of your threads without going back on your sewing machine. And then on the table, we tie 2 knots and we cut the threads. Closer you go to the curve and you do the stitches, the better the finish will be. This needs practice. You should practice until you get it perfect, and you will have perfect darts with no bulkiness and perfect, just perfect. Repeat the process for both of them. Then we can also go ahead and sew our small straps for the back just by folding the fabric in half with the reverse side of the fabric facing up, and on your serger apply the elastic on top until the ends, and then with the loop turner we will reverse the 2 straps. We can also go ahead and prepare our straps. What I will do, of course, see which is the right side and the wrong side, and place right sides facing together. Don't forget that this is my main fabric. And I will align, first of all, I'm going to show you on one and then you repeat the process. The main fabric for me is the red, remember? That's why the pink is smaller. So I put the main fabric facing up on my table, just because when I pin my fabric and then when I go to my sewing machine, I don't want to apply the elastic on the second side. I want to apply the elastic on my main side of my top. And my main side for the straps is the red. So I'm going to apply the elastic on the red fabric. And since it's on the reds, I always prefer to pin the fabric with the red facing up, so that I always remember when I go to the sewing machine that this is the side for the elastic. Once we have sewn this one, it will be easier for us to also align the opposite sides. It will look like, you can pin it already if you want, if it's easier for you, or you can leave it, and once you sewn this edge, you then sew this one. You will see that when we pin this in place, it looks like we have excess fabric on the red side, but believe me, once you sew this with elastic and you reverse the strap to the right side, you will see that it's not the case. We do not have excess fabric, neither on the main one, neither on the second one. And of course, apply the elastic here and here on both straps. I'm going to do that now and come back to the table to proceed. I just wanted to share that for instance in this strap here, you can see perfectly that this side the stitch is so perfect, and on the opposite side you can see that I have skipped stitches here and here and here. This is a mess. this happened to me. I believe that this happens to all of us. And what I needed to do was just replace my needles. They looked new. I don't remember how many hours they've already been used. But in fact, when you have something like this, give up, don't be stubborn like I was, and change your needles immediately, so then you don't have to correct it just like I did here. Now what I need to do to correct this is do a zigzag in these areas here, and then I will be able to trust the safety of my strap. Now regarding the darts, I've shown you on the sewing machine sewing one of them, and I did the same for all of them. And when you do that and you leave the tail just like I told you, you just tie the 2 knots now in the end here, and you cut the excess threads, and you will have perfect non-bulky darts. And that's how you sew darts in swimwear. But so that the darts are just perfect, we still need to do one more thing. When you open the darts and you see you have folded fabric here, I always go ahead with the small scissor and I trim a little bit more my fabric. And now I can consider my dart ready. Don't forget, every time you then sew the sides here, to flatten the dart seams and sew with the seams flatten against the other fabric. At this stage, and before I forget, I always trim the excess threads, and also I cut slightly the elastic on the edges so that I don't have any sticky edge from the elastic. And I do this on every strap, every edge, every elastic that I sew. I always do this. Reverse the straps using your loop turner. Insert the loop turner on your strap. Secure the small hook on the edge to the opposite side of where you have the elastic. Grab your elastic with your left hand and carefully pull inside, the fabric inside. And then this is a question of doing a lot of times, and sometimes it's easier than others. My loop turner is already ruined, so it doesn't have a small bit here in the end that usually helps doing this. But well, I'm gonna keep using it until it works and until I'm able to do it. And here I have my strap. So this next step is important. You have a front and a back for your strap. And the line that I have here, where I have this edge here, this is the fold line. So in fact, if you fold this and if you grab your pattern, you will understand that these notches here are for the front and these notches here are for the back. I'm gonna mark them on the opposite side of the paper. So why am I explaining this to you? If you take a look at your strap, you have one edge that it has a sharper angle than the other one. The one that it's more straight is the front, and it will be mentioned on the pattern. And so when you reverse the strap to the right side, which you should do now for both of them, no, I mean, you do not need to do this, but I'm going to show you why I'm going to place them on the right side, because we will attach, when we fold this here, on the side, on the back part, so exactly from the middle to the back piece here, we will include a small strap, like so. And this means that I'm going to insert the strap inside my main strap, align it to the edge where I've just told you. So you have to figure out if this is the front or the back. So the angle is steeper on this side. So this is the back for sure. And this is the front. But once this is on the correct side, it's easier to see. That's why I was telling you to reverse it. But you can also see it here. So this is straighter than this one. This is more sharp. So this is the back and this is the front. And here is the point where you need to place your strap. So I'm gonna do like with my pencil just 2 dots so I can easily see. I'm gonna cut this 1 centimeter, which is the size of my strap. I'm going to my straight stitch machine, and with a zigzag stitch I'm going to secure the strap in place. I'm gonna repeat the process for both straps and it will be ready. So insert it inside the fabric here between your 2 main fabrics. Make sure that the angle of the strap is aligned more horizontally, like I'm showing you here. And now just sew over this thread and also this thread and over the strap once or twice, just to make sure that the small strap is secured. And then you can reverse both straps to the right side. Just to let you know that when you insert the strap, don't forget that if your main side is the red, like it's for me, I'm placing the strap with my beautiful side facing against my main fabric. So on the back, it will be the fold of the thin strap will be facing my second fabric, okay? It's just a detail, but it can make a difference on the final finish. And, well, at least I think it can, so that's a detail. Trim any excess threads or strap. And, well, this one I can already see that it's not horizontal as I told you. Let's see. I'm not going to remove all these zigzags now, so I'm gonna leave it like it is. I'm gonna trim the excess and reverse the straps to the right side. Now that we have the straps ready, you can see that the red is my main one, as you may remember. I hope you remember. And I'm gonna show you that that detail that I've told you regarding the fabric. Remember that we cut it half of the seam allowance from the pink one because it's the second fabric. So when it's on you, you see that there's no extra fabric here, no excess fabric. And on the second side, so my pink one, you can also see that there is no excess fabric. And this is only possible because we removed that half of the seam allowance in the beginning of our tutorial. And for now, that's it. Our straps are ready, and we can move on to our next step. Now we have at least 2 different ways to do this. One would be securing the front straps between the 2 fabrics for the front, placing the strap inside here and securing the top here, and then secure to the back straps again, like in the same process, and then place the backs inside the fronts, align the backs, and sew the sides here. The other way is for us to combine front and backs for both fabrics individually, and then aligning them like a long piece of fabric on the table, align the straps, the front and the back, and sew all at once. This will allow us the connection between the front and the back pieces to be much smoother and much better sewed, and the finish will be much better. I'm sorry, my English lately is very bad. Maybe I've not been practicing a lot. So I'm gonna use my pattern piece to mark the notches where my straps should go. And my main fabric, don't forget, is the pink. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of chalk and mark the place where I'm gonna place the strap. To position your straps, the best way is watch the edge of the fabric, and as I told you, the front has a more straight angle and the back is more sharp and crooked. So this is the back, and since this is my right side. This means that this is my strap. Once it's sewn, it will be like so, and this one on this side. So right side with right side, I'm going to align the line that I've marked from I marked this one so the one on the outer side, and I'm going to secure the strap here. I'm firstly going to mark this with some pins, and I'm gonna place the second fabric here also on top like a sandwich, and I'm gonna first do a zigzag on the straps area. So now we have secured our straps on the front, and so we need to place like a sandwich the back. This I don't think you have many questions because the curved parts are under the bust, okay? And here is a straight line. And so don't forget, this is my second fabric, so it's smaller, but nevertheless we can align it here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew only the areas where I have my strap, just to secure the two fabrics together. So I'm gonna just sew here, and I will do the same here. You can see we just secured the straps to our front, and now we can open this and we can align our backs on the side seams for the main fabric and for our second fabric. And as you can see, this is my back on this side here. So let me check the main sides. This is the reverse. So this is here, and this one is here. I'm gonna put it right sides facing together. I'm going to align the sides and sew with the overlock without elastic. And I'm gonna do exactly the same for this side here. Ready to sew the sides of the main fabric and of the lining without elastic. We now have our side seams sewn together, and we can align it, as I told you, as a long piece. Maybe you don't see it on the image because it's too big, but if you can see on one side, you can do the same on the other one. And my main fabric is my pink. I'm gonna mark on the back the notch where I want my strap to be. Okay, so this is the outer side of the strap. I'm gonna mark this time with a pin. So if I place this here, this means that my strap is here. And I'm gonna do the same on the other side. And then we just need to think a little bit. If we do this and our strap goes like this to our back, this means that we want the strap, the red on the in here. I'm gonna grab this, open this again. So my main fabric for the strap is the red, so it's red against my pink from the main top. I'm gonna align just where we placed the pin. Again, we will go to the zigzag machine and just do a zigzag to secure the strap between the two fabrics. So of course the next step is to overlap the fabric here, align it on the top, and sew with a zigzag over this area, and repeat the same on the other side. You can use the angle from the pattern, from the strap pattern, to align it with the edge of the back, and this will enable you to get the correct direction of the strap. Okay, don't ignore the edge and the shape and just sew straight and put your strap straight, because it's not. It has an angle, and that angle needs to be aligned with your seam. We've done some surprise codes along our videos, so let's see if you are watching carefully and enjoy this 20% off. So front strap secure, back strap secure. Now tuck in your strap inside here, but not yet. Align the top of your top, the top of your top. Align, pin the entire edge of the top from one edge of the back until the other edge of the back, the entire front, and sew on your sewing machine on your overlock, applying elastic on the side of your main fabric. Since my main fabric is the pink, I should be pinning this with this side up, so I don't do a mistake and apply the elastic on the wrong side. So I'm gonna pin, I'm gonna sew, applying the elastic, and then we are going to tuck in our strap inside our top between the two fabrics, and we are going to sew the lower part here, also applying elastic. The only trick I want to tell you today for this specific top is that under the busts, I will mark the area under the bust with chalk, beginning here and in here, more or less. Let me see if you can see. Like this is half, right? So between below the bust, in this area here, I will give some tension to my elastic. This will be strange on the table once it's ready, but it will be very good on your body. Let's overlock and apply elastic. So I have applied the elastic on the entire top from one edge to the other. And as I told you, we are going to tuck in our strap inside here. Align the lower edge of our top. And just like we did on the top area, on the top edge, we will also sew. The only difference on the lower back is, as I told you, I'm going to mark where I want to create a little bit of tension on my elastic, which is under the bust. So top is sewed, lower back is sewed, tension applied under the bust, like I told you. I can remove these pins, which I have just placed so that the strap wouldn't move, and go on my sewing machine. And we are now ready to reverse our entire piece to the right side. But, oh, I have a mistake here I have to correct. But we also can do another thing, which I've told you before, which is trim a little bit the edges here. This will be sewn with the clasp, but nevertheless, I always like to do this. It's a rule, I always do it. So I'm gonna correct this, I don't know where it is now. This, and then I will reverse it to the right side and show you how to secure your clasp. Now that our bikini top winter is reversed to the right side, I want to show you some details that I think are important. And I urge you to search at home for other patterns that you have sewn using the four-layer method. So when you insert the back inside the front, or vice versa, and you sew on the side seam, sewing over 4 layers, you will see that with that method, the connection between the front and the back, you always have like, it's not perfect, and I'm sure you can see that on your swimwear that you have sewn with that method. So with this method, the connection is so perfect. That's why I prefer to do it like this, or to do it non-reversible. That's also my favorite option, non-reversibles. But well, for a reversible, I think that the look is quite good. Since my main fabric is the pink, except the straps, I just need to do one final thing, which is sewing my clasp. This was designed to use this clasp, so it will fit perfectly. The sizes are, of course, mentioned on the pattern, so that you can buy the supplies accordingly, or you can also adjust the pattern. And before I sew this in place, I'm gonna try it on, because maybe I can do a small adjustment like 1 centimeter or something. So it's always good to try on, but if this is not for you, you can also just fold the fabric like I'm showing here, place a pin, go to your sewing machine and do a straight stitch here. Usually I do an elastic stitch, which is straight but it's still elastic. It's a stitch my machine has, and usually I use my zipper foot to go closer to the metal parts, and then I will just trim the excess threads and fabric, and this is ready. I'm gonna share the result with you of this bikini top on my body, and I also invite you to see the intro video on our swimsuit, done exactly with the same top part, but then with 2 lower options, one very covered and the other one more edgy. On this version of winter, I actually didn't use any clasp on the back, so it's continuous back, it's a little bit wider, and also I did a zigzag as a finishing stitch under the bust. As for the one we sewed today, and that's the one you have on your pattern, paper pattern, you can see here on the mannequin, of course it's not the same that on a real body. You can see here the final result and the non-bulky darts and the smooth finish between the front and the back side here on the side seam, and of course the clasp on the back. And here are some pictures of how it looks on a real body. We hope you like this video, and don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel. See you soon. Bye, girls!